Welcome to Smart Questions. This is where, as a team, we take challenges that have come up from conversations we've had with clients in the last few days, and we explore some of the key salient points from it. It's not all about what the textbooks would say, and we won't necessarily come up with all of the whole range of solutions. But the idea is that we cover enough that there's at least a good takeaway that you can have that will help you to address that particular challenge or question that has come up. So we hope you find it useful. All right. Good afternoon, Granger. Welcome to another episode of Smart Questions. So what have we got this time?
Kevin. Okay, so my question this time is, how do I prepare myself and my business for the forthcoming recession? That's assuming that we think there's a recession arriving, but I can fully understand that because all the papers and all the news feeds seem to be talking about it at the moment. So
absolutely. And this came up in one of our recent ScaleUp club, I think, didn't it?
It did, yes. It did indeed. The ScaleUp club question in terms of doing that. So
okay, so where do we start with this, preparing ourselves for a potential recession?
So my first advice is actually we shouldn't be thinking about it now. We should have always been thinking about it. Okay, so the reality is recessions always come. Yeah, there is a natural cycle within the business cycle where recessions come every so often. Okay, sometimes that can be 10 years, sometimes 5 years, but we should always be running our business in terms of thinking that there'll be a recession coming in terms of that opportunity. So the types of things you should already be thinking about and having in place is best practice, having at least 6 months operation cash in the bank. Famous Microsoft, Bill Gates wanted 1 year worth of operating cash. And that gives you the flexibility to make decisions when opportunities arise in terms of doing that. So I always talk about, making hay today for the famine of tomorrow. You've got to put it away. Otherwise, you're not going to feed the family in terms of doing stuff. So that's the sort of types of thinking you should be doing. Also thinking about your team and how are you every day motivating and directing the team to find those opportunities for growth, find those opportunities for delivering what we want to achieve as the business in terms of success. Looking for all of those opportunities, focusing on the growth plan, focusing on the improvements that we need to make within the business to deliver everything that we need to do. And that's the first thing that we should always be doing anyway in our business if we're going to be successful for scaling it up.
Indeed. So yes, thinking about it, absolutely, we should be running our business really all the time as if there's lots of constraints on the business, and that we're in tough times, and there's all sorts of lovely expressions around that, isn't there? One I remember is a Warren Buffett one about you can only tell who's been swimming naked when the tide goes out. But those images aside, which are now stuck in my head, so we should be operating our business in a lean sort of way anyway. And yes, if we ideally we do have those reserves, whether it be 6 months. What if we don't have that now, and we're worried now, where things are a bit tight already, the energy bills are going up. What we've already eaten into our reserves, if we ever had any, maybe. So what can we be doing now?
Yeah. And I think two quotes always come to me. One you use is, never let a good crisis go to waste. I think that's Winston Churchill you said. And to me it's any captain can steer a ship in good weather. It's when the rough weather that the real captains appear in terms of doing that. So so if things are not quite right and things like this, it's now time to really knuckle down on some really important things. So the first one is your financial controls. Looking at the 7 financial levers, looking at those costs in the business. What can you trim out fast? What can you trim out over the medium term and get rid of those extra costs that you don't need to be having in your business, which is good practice to do all the time anyway, but now's the time to really double down on it and make it happening. And the other one is to actually look at your pricing, because how many of us actually increase our prices yearly or on a regular basis? And I know we've had a question previously about that one in the activities. So, you know, look at the pricing model and making sure that you're maximizing the opportunities you can that will come out of these situations.
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely. So on that pricing, this might be something to get into then a little bit as well, because this ties back into how scalable our business model, isn't it? And we often find in the early stages of a business that people struggle to transition from maybe a 1 or 2 man band to having 3, 4, 5 people and so on, because they haven't got their pricing quite right, or they haven't got other aspects of their business model quite right. Because it's one thing paying ourselves a salary on and off each month, but we can't do that when we started employing people. So one of those things to really think about is look at your P&L. And I know we're not all brilliant at looking at our P&Ls, but look at our basic profit and loss, and remember to put in our full market rate salary for us, because most of us pay ourselves through dividends, which doesn't appear then in the P&L, and we can kid ourselves that we're making more profit than we are. So put our true salary in as if we had to replace us and pay somebody to do our role or market rate, and then see what our net profit is. Because if our net profit on that P&L is below 10%, then we're going to struggle, frankly, and we need to then really look at, yes, either trimming our costs down, or quite likely in that case, maybe there's something we need to do with our pricing, because it simply won't scale. But it also means that we've got no margin for maneuver if we're squeezed a little bit and we lose a client or two because of the recession. We need to really think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other element sort of linked to that then is also thinking about the risks.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that are going to come, you know, doing some scenario planning and thinking about, okay, if I was to lose X amount of customers, yeah, you know, which ones are my most risky ones, which one could I, what would that do to the P&L? Yeah, how would I have to restructure that in order to make the business survivable during the next phase in terms of doing things? But also the opportunities, because if you also think about it, you know, in a recession, some of your competitors may well go under. Yeah, and they may leave the marketplace. So actually there's more opportunity to find clients in terms of doing things. So don't see it as a risk, actually see some of the opportunities in it and think about the scenario planning around those things that you can actually do. And, you know, if you're in a business where you need equipment, well, actually, you'll be surprised how much, you know, high-end, really nice equipment becomes available during the sessions as companies go bust and go under. Yeah, that you can get at very cut-down prices. So, you know, having that thought and that planning in terms of doing things. So, seeing those opportunities that will come out of recession, not just the negatives that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's having that mindset, not just getting weighed down by it all, but actually looking for those. As you say, it could be equipment, it could be people. There could be more people available for you. I know we're all struggling at the minute with the recruitment aspect, but it, you know, and it could be that this throws up 1 or 2 people that might not have otherwise been available. But yes, there might be other opportunities as well to look at. It could even be potentially acquiring one of your competitors. You know, there might be more opportunities to actually buy another company if you are fortunate enough to be in that position where that's an option for you. So yes, looking at all of those things. So I think sort of really what we're saying is lots of good thoughts in there. We're just about to have our next 90-day planning cycle, aren't we? We tend to operate sort of from October, beginning of October through to the end of the calendar year would be our next 90 days. And we'll be encouraging everybody to be identifying the priorities, as we would always do for the next 90 days. But there might be some extra thinking, extra emphasis around those cash flow measures, or identifying cash improvement measures, and ensuring that we've got an eye on the financials to make sure we don't end up in trouble over the next few months. Yeah.
And as we said at the beginning, actually, these are all best practices. These are good practices that you should be doing all the time. Yeah, it's just thinking about the further opportunities and risks that might come from a recession in terms of doing that, and how you would capitalize on that and help grow and scale your business.
Absolutely, because what we tend to see in good times is that people can muddle through, but in these sort of times, then that's going to get very difficult to do that. Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Granger. Some really good points there. If you found that useful, imagine what it'd be like coming along to Scale Up Club, where you'll have other business owners that will be raising challenges, but helping you to address your challenges on an ongoing basis. So just look in the description and the comments to find out how you can come along to the next Scale Up Club. And also, why not have a look at my book, The Entrepreneurial Scale Up System? You'll find the answers to all sorts of questions in there, along with that system of how to scale up your business. So hopefully look forward to seeing you soon.